Okay, hey guys, today we're going to talk about origins of the Cold War. This is a Cold War as opposed to a hot war, which we just got out of in fighting World War II. Hot war is where people literally are shooting at each other, whereas Cold War is just tension between two nations, especially superpowers, which we are going to rise up to be along with the USSR during this time period. And after we have dropped the atomic bomb, we start working on other weapons, such as nuclear weapons. So do the Russians. And so there's this tension about, is one of us going to push the big red button and bring us all into nuclear war? So the questions say, what does Truman hint to Stalin at Potsdam? And what marks the beginning of the Cold War? Okay, so origins of the Cold War. So relations between us and the USSR have already been tense because of Stalin signing that non-aggression agreement with Hitler earlier on. And Stalin was angry that the U.S. does not enter the war sooner while all their men are dying at Stalingrad. They thought we should have come to their aid or at least entered the war faster than we did, not waiting on Japan to bring us in. So Yalta, I mentioned this before, but it needs to be mentioned again. This is February of 45. This is the decision of what are we going to do about Germany. Remember, FDR was still alive during this time. He's going to die in April. So it divided Germany into 4 zones to patrol. And I mentioned, think of the Y like pieces of Berlin. And so we're going to divide Berlin, Germany, up into 4 zones. West Germany falls under us, Britain, and France. So we will control like this side of it. East Germany, like this side over here, will be controlled by the USSR. Why? Because they were closer to the east and all of us are closer to the west. The question there was dividing up Germany and then what to do about Poland. Remember that Poland was the first country invaded by Hitler, September 1st of 39. And I have a really poorly done map here to show you where Poland is, where everyone else is. You see on here, the G is for Germany, okay, and Germany is going to be on one side, USSR on the other of Poland. So the question is, what are we going to do about them? It says here, basically, that non-communist government officials from Poland have fled to Britain during the war as the Soviets liberated Poland. And basically all these communists from the USSR over here come into Poland as they're going into Germany to take out Hitler, and they tend to like stay here in Poland. So it says Stalin argues he needs a friendly government. Why does Stalin think he needs, where here he is, here's Stalin in the USSR. Why would he want a friendly to communism government in Poland? Well, that's because he's right next door. He's seen what Hitler will do. So he doesn't want someone else rising up next door to him that would turn against him like Hitler did. So he argues he's so close to that border that he should have a government that's more communist in Poland. Truman says, no. We should have free elections there. And that's the other argument. And the agreement is the Polish could have the communist government, but allow non-communists to be a part of it too. So we're going to allow some communism to take root here in Poland, and we'll leave some democratic officials in charge as well. Okay, and I said Truman, and that says Truman, but it should say FDR because he was alive then. Then he dies, FDR dies. Truman is much more aggressive with the USSR than FDR was. So Potsdam is going to be a meeting that takes place in July of 45, right towards the end of war with Japan. We're seeing the end. So Truman's going to meet there at Potsdam with Stalin. And I have a picture of that actually Here they are at Potsdam. And there's Churchill with them. Here's Stalin. Here's Truman, our president. And here's Churchill, still around. Okay, he's the British Prime Minister. And so it says, Truman says, hey, we need to rebuild German industry. We need to rebuild Germany so that, you know, they can survive, so that Europe's economy can survive. And he's also thinking, you know, we'll give them hope and capitalism, which will keep them away from communism. Stalin says, no. Okay, we're going to punish Germany. Punish, punish, punish. You know, he is mad at Hitler because Hitler turned on him, all right? And he wants Germans to pay. So he says, hey, our Russian economy is like terrible. The Soviets, we want heavy reparations from Germany. I mean, they had already been, the Russians, as they, remember I said, they come through to get Hitler. They come through over here, wait a minute, here in USSR, come through Poland, and they march all the way to Germany. Well, as they're going through all this area, they're stripping everything they can from German territory. So Stalin wants to take. Remember, at Stalingrad, they lost millions of people. So they're really wanting to punish Germany. The result is, basically what happens is Truman leans over and whispers to Stalin during one of their discussions that we might just have a new powerful weapon that Stalin doesn't have. And Nana and a boo-boo, you don't have this and we do. So Truman's trying to bully him into a deal on Germany to get us more land in Germany because we knew we were going to free those people and help rebuild and restore, not do another Versailles Treaty. Stalin reluctantly accepts the terms because he's scared of this whole nuclear weapon conversation. Now, it says USSR has lost 17 million people in World War II. So they are determined to protect themselves by building satellite nations. Okay, back to my terrible map. So basically, any of these countries down in here, they want to push them and Poland as well into communism because those will be their satellites, a protective border. All right, I may have something on that. Well, that's next. Iron Curtain. So February 46, Stalin gives a speech, and he says, communism will defeat capitalism. Okay, well, he was wrong. So Churchill responds and gives a speech, and we call this the Iron Curtain speech. And Churchill, who I just showed you, is in this picture here. So Stalin says, communism will defeat capitalism. And Churchill says, oh, I don't think so, buddy. So he gives a speech, and it's called the Iron Curtain speech. So I brought an Iron Curtain to you to see. And he's going to say, basically, Churchill's going to say, what's happened is, here's Europe, right? Well, it's upside down, sorry. Here's Europe. And he's going to say, an Iron Curtain has fallen across Eastern Europe. Okay, Iron Curtain called communism, and these people cannot get out. So we call it the Iron Curtain speech. And it says these two speeches mark the beginning of the Cold War. Now we have this USA versus USSR competition between the two great powers of the world. It will last until 1991. And I am a freshman in high school. That's a long time from the 40s here until 1991, all right? We start developing the policy of containment. So I brought a container. See, it's just a container. And I'll flip the switch. I was already flipped. No, it's not. Flip the switch. See, container. And this is what we want to do. We want to take communism, this is communism, and we want to put them in there and close the lid and lock it up so they cannot get out. We do not want communism spreading out here. Okay, we don't want it going into Germany, going into France, going into Great Britain, going into America. Ah! No, we're going to contain communism. Containment. Eastern Europe was already under control of communism. The Iron Curtain had fallen. We do not want it to spread to other countries. So Truman comes up with a doctrine, and he promises to contain communism in Greece and T, Turkey. That's how you remember Truman, Turkey, which is a nation, okay? So he says we're going to contain communism in Greece and in Turkey. Whereas Truman also leads us into, the Truman Doctrine leads us into the Marshall Plan. And this is set up by George Marshall, who was Secretary of State. And this said, I wonder if you noticed, remember this from the past, we will provide money from America to rebuild Europe. We will not have another Versailles Treaty. We will not have another Hitler rise up. We will give them tons of money in Western Europe. We even offered money to USSR because they lost 17 million people. They refused to take our money. So Iron Curtain, here's a cartoon that shows you the Russian Iron Curtain falling down, killing people. Everyone's on the other side over in Eastern Europe. Here is another map that shows you the Iron Curtain has fallen here. And all the red is where the curtain fell, right here. Everything on this side is communist. Everything on this side in the blue is free, democracy. Okay, here is Greece. This is Turkey in the white. Here is Greece. So the Truman Doctrine said we don't want Greece and Turkey to fall into the hands of communists. And then the Marshall Plan said we're going to give a whole bunch of money, see here, whole bunch of money to the countries in Western Europe to make sure they don't fall to communism and they can rise up again, their economies, they can have jobs, they can have prosperity. USSR turns down our money. Okay, so then the Berlin Airlift, 1948, the Allies want to reunify Germany. So now everything's done, war is over, let's reunify Germany, and all of those places, the Y, Yalta Plan divided up, we'll put it back together. So Stalin says, no, I don't think so. So the Allies take their zones and create West Germany. The Soviets take their zone and create East Germany. People literally start running from East Germany into West Germany to get the heck out of the East. They don't want communism. Stalin would not allow the city of Berlin, because it belonged to the West under his control, to have any food. We don't want another war, so we start the Berlin Airlift. We literally dropped 13,000 tons of food into Berlin a day. It lasts a year. I mean, that is 365 times 13,000 tons. That's a lot of money that we are dropping into Berlin to help feed these people. You see this picture here of the plane, parachutes on the boxes of food that we're dropping in so these people don't starve to death. We look like, you know, Superman. Basically, we're the hero of the day. The Soviets give up the blockade in 49, so we kind of win that. There is no war. Then we have the formation of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which currently our current president has said he wants out of. An attack on one is an attack on all. It's collective security. It's our way of kind of forming a club and saying all these nations are in it together in NATO. And if Russia, USSR, attacks one of these, we're all jumping in on the Russians. Here we are down here. You can barely see our American flag, Britain, Greece. There's tons of nations here represented. France. The point is there's Germany. Russian flag, USSR flag, not on here. So obviously they weren't invited to the party because we are saying we are going out for communism. We're going to attack communism. Okay. This marks the end of our isolationism. From this point forward, we will always be involved in European affairs. I just mentioned our current president. So, I mean, from this point forward, we're constantly in Europe. NATO's Canada, US, Belgium, Britain, France, Denmark, you get it. The Soviets respond with their Warsaw Pact, which is their satellite nation saying we will remain communist and we will attack if we are attacked. Okay, let's go back to the central questions. What does Truman hint to Stalin about? He said, I have a bomb and you don't, ha ha. What marks the beginning of the Cold War? Down here, which was, oh, it wasn't down there, it was the next page, which was when Churchill gives the Iron Curtain speech in response to Stalin's communism speech. Okay, you need to write your summary, and I'll see you guys later.